Oh my goodness, we are back, Dad. Can you believe it?
No, I can't. And this is exciting. And um, I have to change the view here because you can only see me and I can only see you.
Oh,
And I
unbelievable.
want the gallery. There we go.
Yep, and
And
unbelievable how this is how many years we've done this. We should be perfect by
I
now, you
know,
think?
but it's exciting because in my head, following past experience, the opening weekend next week is week one, which, by the way, tune in for our prediction show, Sibling Rivalry, next week.
Yep.
But I got done sloughing around on Saturday morning and I go to channel check, and guess what's going?
What
College game day.
oh baby, it's back. It is back.
Oh, I missed
And
it.
with college game day back means we should probably say welcome back to Sports Dolls
Yes.
season 5
And here's the
podcast.
sound effect.
Yeah, unbelievable. We were just talking before this episode where we can't believe we're already on season 5, and the fact that I just the amount of people who are like, "Oh, are you guys gonna do the podcast again?" And like new friends, for me at least in Rochester, that maybe didn't get a chance to pick. I've reached out to them; they've reached out to me. Oh man, I wanna get on an episode this year. So it's just kind of crazy to think that back literally 2019 we started this bad boy up, or was it 2020? I can't remember.
2020. It was
2020 we started it.
and why
Um,
did we do it?
well, one, you had always talked about it years.
Yep.
Um, I got a side story for that, just to make sure Alex and Dean are related. But we talked about it for years and years and years, and COVID happened, and we said nothing better to do than hop on a Zoom call and talk about college sports, and more specifically, Big Ten football.
Yeah.
I mean, our weekly phone calls between you, me, and Alex, and here we are, five seasons, 4 seasons deep, starting a fifth.
This is cool. And like you, Josh, um, it it just warms my heart to do this, to think it's been 5 years. And like you, I have people reaching out. It was like, can I get back on it next year?
Yeah.
I know I've been on. Emma, I told her I was starting, and she goes, "I'm gonna bring the bleeping game if I'm on."
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I was gonna say, just thinking back to all the guests we've had,
Yeah.
family, friends, past students of yours, coworkers, things like that. We've kind of gotten around. I have a feeling one of these times we're gonna get someone remotely famous. Not saying anyone that has been a guest pick isn't famous for something, but I have a sneaky suspicion. I don't know, maybe 5 years down the road that we're gonna get, I don't know, maybe an awesome ex gopher or something ridiculous. That's my prediction for the future. But right now we'll take the famous people in our lives and we'll bring them into the podcast again and again.
Well, and it's cool with um I stumbled into this, because we only do this from August to January.
Yeah.
And
Only August to January. I mean, only a few months, right?
and I stumbled into, communicated with different people. It was like, oh yeah, you do that sports doll. I was following you. Really?
Yeah, it's just funny because yeah, I mean, my coworkers, my friends, Ashley's coworkers, and mostly husbands are like, oh, that's kind of cool. And same thing, they're like, all right, like here we are again. A couple of changes as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. My lovely pregnancy pillow that is migrated from the bed, because we traded the pregnancy pillows. Now we got diapers
Yep.
everywhere at the house. A little bit different this year. We have a 12-week old upstairs going to bed right now, which is kind of crazy to think that, maybe one day Harrison will come on and be a guest picker, or I'm sure he'll make an appearance this
Oh yeah.
season for sure. But 7:30 is bedtime, and you don't want to interrupt a 12-week-old, rumor has it, by routine. So we're staying away from that. But he's here and living large.
Well, and he hasn't really absorbed one season yet. I mean, this is season
Not
one
quite.
for him. So
Yeah.
that would be putting him on the spot to do the prediction show.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe down the road I can get him to like point to like things and have him make a pick for me, as if it's gonna be any worse than my picks already.
But
But
Josh, you were the winner last year.
champion, yeah, this is my throne, pregnancy
Yep.
pillow, feeling like a king over here. But yeah, not to brag, it feels good. Feels good to be a winner. For the first time, it was bound to happen sooner or later, but just to get a little bit of ring credit, a little bit of knowledge credit, and to say I was a champion feels great.
Well, and we are going to have one way, shape, or form a returning champion this year because year one, the
Mm-hmm.
guests kicked our butts.
Cleaned it. Yep.
Year
I
two, I
think year
believe
two,
Alex.
yep. Year three. So now I was gonna say year three, you.
Yep.
Year four, me. Now everyone's got one underneath their belt, which is kind of crazy to think that no one repeated in 4 years, which
Mm-hmm.
kind of impressive. So it's like we're all starting at zero again. So we know the guests can be beat. It is possible. It's always a close race, but it can be beat.
So for anyone new, one, welcome. Two, what do we do, Josh? And who are
So
we?
who are we're the Doll Boys, plain and simple. All we do is we focus primarily on Big Ten football, and we make picks based upon the spreads that are set by Vegas, to determine picking winners. And we keep track week after week after week, for a grand total at the very end. We have a new guest picker every week to come on in for that round of games, step up their knowledge, whatever knowledge it is. Our knowledge is just being fans of Big Ten football, playing it and watching it a lot.
Yeah.
So we just make picks all season long, and then it gets to the playoffs, and we have a playoff episode, and we crown a champion at the end of the year. Whoever has the most correct picks at the end of the season is your one overall champion.
And we really, really, really come at it from the common person approach. We
Oh yeah,
our football. Yes, there's an algorithm that we'll hear about later.
plenty.
But there's no data to put in it right now.
Yeah, it's
But
early in the season, so you're left to your own
I
devices.
know first 3 weeks are tough. It's really
Yeah.
tough. And I'm proposing that this year to spice it up, John, that's for you.
Yeah.
We have every week guest, you and I each get to pick. We're going to pick the winners like we have, but pick one game that is our double the value game.
Okay. Like a confidence game where you're like,
confidence game.
This one I know for sure is happening.
Yes.
And you have a potential of getting 2 points for that.
Yep. You don't lose 2 points, but
I was going to say, do you subtract a point if you get it wrong?
Since we don't do the negative, it's only a positive show.
Oh yeah, that's right. We don't say anything bad about anyone else here. No.
Okay, we got to get going. What are you missing?
Oh my goodness, it's been so long. We are missing the one and only intro. I'm sorry for the long spiel, but Dad, please share us the intro into the 2024 season.
Boom, there it is. Whoa!
Unbelievable. Again, it's I can't believe how you just keep coming up with them year after year
Yep.
after year. You
Yep.
know, some people just get bored with it. You just keep getting better.
It's me and digital world, we connect as one.
That's right. I was gonna say me, same old Bush Light, different intro. Here we are. All right. Well, we kind of have some. We don't really have picks. They're predictions, and it's always fun to do our predictions in the first episode with the hype of college football upon us, and just kind of see. We wrap it all up at the end of the year to see how correct or mostly incorrect we are. So, without further ado, we are going to start with the Big Ten matchup. Who's going to be playing in the Big Ten championship and who's going to be the Big Ten champion. So lead us off, Dad. We have 4 new teams in the Big Ten. Big Ten is Big 18 right now.
Yeah, and to bring everybody up to speed, the SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten all got rid of the East, West, Atlantic, Coastal conference. It's a cluster of 16 or 18 teams, and the one plays the two at the end of the year to get the automatic first. If you get the first round bye if you win one of the Power Four conferences and win the playoff.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, and we're so used to saying Power Five, Power Four conferences. Big Ten is amongst them. So basically, who do you have in your Big Ten championship game, Dan?
This was tough because um, I I was drawn to Michigan, and they had one heck of a year last year,
Yes, I did.
but they have the toughest strength of schedule in the entire college football, and
Right.
they're in the midst of, yes, their coaches changed. They still have a lot of returning, so I didn't go with Michigan, which leaves Ohio State hanging in the lurch. They have a lot of players coming back. They had a good team. They were really 2 plays away from winning the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, for sure.
This pains me,
Yep,
but
me too.
I have to go with Oregon. Oregon number 2.
Yep. So yeah, you picked Ohio State versus Oregon, and I I, I saw your pick, and I was thinking, okay, same thing with Michigan. They graduated a lot, new coach, but he's not really new. He stepped in a handful of times last year with Harbaugh being out for miscellaneous
Yeah.
reasons. But I just looked at it, man, they graduated a lot of talent. Now, Michigan's a big enough school and they have the pull that they're kind of reloading type of deal. But it's to me, I looked at it as it's going to be a different feel for this football team for Michigan. They're going to be good, no doubt about it. But Michigan's been dominating, and I think it's going to come down to, both of those teams may be undefeated going into rivalry week, and Michigan's been dominating. They won 3 years in a row, 3 or 4 years in a row that Michigan has won, and that just doesn't happen with those two high caliber teams very often. And that's where I kind of settled my pick, where I was like, okay, Ohio State, they're tired of losing for sure, and I think Ohio State's going to win that game, get into the Big Ten championship. And then looking on the other side, I was looking at the 4 schools that are joining, and I'm like, man, can Minnesota,
It's
Wisconsin,
painful.
Iowa, can they compete with them? USC, Oregon, Washington, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? Not a chance. And my slight Google searches, I did look up at strength of schedule, and Oregon does have the one of the easiest strength of schedule, and
Yes.
that's why I picked Oregon to make it to also the Big Ten championship. I think they're going to absolutely cruise. Their hardest matchups are going to be Washington, USC, and UCLA. But unlike you, I am picking Oregon first year in the Big Ten to take that Big Ten championship game away from Ohio State. I just
That's
hate Ohio State. We know they're tough. We know they're good. They're probably going to get into the playoffs. But I just think Oregon is just ready to go.
well, there is, and I have a soft spot. I've always liked Oregon. We went to a Fiesta Bowl, saw
I've
Oregon,
seen them, yeah, seen them play.
and their fans are super, super fun. And
Mm-hmm.
there is a Gopher connection there. Bucky is still there, Bucky Irving, and he had a year last year. But I
Yeah.
agree with you on their schedule. They only play two ranked teams in in Ohio State and Michigan. And it'll be interesting to see because they play Ohio State out out there.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the championship game will be at Lucas Oil Field.
Right.
I think I follow you. Whoever loses that game is going to come back and win the next
And
one, I would say.
yeah, I because it's hard to beat it's hard to beat a good team twice, that's for sure. That's a good I'm looking forward to that. So basically we watched the first matchup and we know who's gonna win the Big Ten championship, is what you're
Yep.
telling me. I hope you're right. That would be absolutely hilarious. But Washington last year did prove that they can beat Oregon not once, but twice.
But
It can be
twice.
done. It can be done, but it is very, very difficult.
And Washington's schedule is brutal. Just brutal. And it's amazing. Washington has one, two, three, four, five ranked teams in their
Mhm.
schedule.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
Washington State in their non-conference.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say they're one of their biggest rivals for sure, no matter how good or bad they are.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. We welcome the West Coast. Um, not with open arms because I'm nervous because the Gophers are going to have to play a couple of them,
Oh,
and who the hell knows? I am not optimistic about that, but who knows? It'll be exciting to have little fresh blood in here. I remember when Nebraska joined Big Ten, and obviously in my mind that was a better fit, but just having that new team, just like, all right, welcome to the Big Ten. Um, I do think they may get punched in the face a couple of times just because it's going to be a different style than probably what they're used to in the past Pac-12. But at the same time, they got talent out there. We're gonna be facing the best of the West Coast. So welcome to the Midwest. We'll see what happens.
well, I think all the way around, it's going to be very interesting. Like Gundy
Mhm.
verbalizing about agents just back off a little bit at
Yeah.
Oklahoma State and how the way you and I grew up to love college football, where oh, we got this freshman that's coming in, we're going to
Yeah.
redshirt him. By the time they're sophomores and juniors, they're going to commit. Those days are past for half of the team.
They're long, yeah, they're long gone. I was gonna say you graduate a senior and you have a freshman. Everyone's looking for a portal for a veteran quarterback to come into their team. So it's definitely a whole new era in college football. And we lost a huge conference,
Yep.
and here we are. For those of you
And
watching, don't worry, that is empty, but I come prepared.
oh, good. And
Yes,
the other part is just seeing which coaches, because I'm a PJ Fleck fan. There's no doubt
yeah,
about it. PJ has been known for building teams just the same aspect, the same way that Harbaugh tried to build Michigan and did.
yeah,
Saban, they were able to sell players on, hey, I'm going to sit on the bench for 2 or 3 years
yeah.
to, because I'm going to
But
wait for it.
Yeah, but you're going to get your chance at a national championship,
Where,
especially Michigan and Alabama. Those guys are in Georgia
yep,
too. Like, hey, you're going to get your chance to play for a national championship. Just learn as much as you can, and when you step into that position, be ready to go.
where now it really is, it'll be interesting. See, like Nebraska, they have a lot of players coming back. Can Matt can you build chemistry and put a team together in one season? Because
Right, exactly. It
so
it almost feels like it's inching towards similar to the NFL, where you get a rookie, a trade, or someone you get a brand new person needs to learn a brand new system, and a lot of those people are there their senior years. They want to win games, they want to win bowl games, they want to play conference championships, they want to play for a national championship. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where those transfer quarterbacks how they do 1 year, not even one full year into the system, one preseason.
okay, so who's your we both picked
Or
Oregon and Ohio
Oregon
State.
will outfit. Oregon's winning it all. First year in the Big Ten. They're going to be
Yep.
Big Ten champions.
Who's your sweetheart in the Big Ten?
Mm, that's a great question. God, he didn't tell me he was going to ask me
Mm-hmm.
this question. My sweetheart, gosh, I'm not going to say Minnesota. I always like them, but I
I
think
know who
it's
you're
going
going to
to.
say.
You think? Yeah, you're probably right. Maryland. Maryland is who I'm going to say. Who did
Oh,
you think?
really? I thought you were going to go with Northwestern, the
Oh,
WSU connection.
oh, yeah. I kind of forgot about that. I can't believe it. Yeah. Winona State alumni, ex-coach now coaching at Northwestern. Yeah, but Maryland wins games. And
Yeah.
he did step in and he did win a lot of games at Northwestern. Um, but I can't help just I really enjoyed watching Maryland last year. They're a team that I didn't expect to like, but I think they've been building over the past 2-3 years. So I'm my sweetheart team, and it's going to be hard for me to pick against them, is going to be Maryland this year.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
For me, and the same question is going to be your team when we go to the 12 seeds
Hmm.
for the playoff, the one who didn't make it or who would be a sleeper. But for me, obviously, the Gophers, I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Alex, this is for you. I'm not a big Nebraska fan. I love Nebraska fans.
Yeah.
And Matt, I have so much respect for him as a coach. They have a softer schedule. They
Hmm.
could sneak in.
Yeah. I was gonna say they could make a little run for it. We'll just see how they. I mean, they had a rough go last year. Hopefully, they can build on it this year. But it'll be fun no matter what. The Big Ten. It's going to be a very, very interesting year. I'm excited for the new teams, but at the same time, love Minnesota, Iowa, love Minnesota, Wisconsin. Those games are always going to be super, super fun to watch.
So now we move into the new format.
Yep.
You and I said, I shouldn't include you, that we should go 8 would be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
NCAA said, sports alls, screw you, we're going to
Yep.
12.
Yeah.
And the top 4 teams, the big 4 winners are the top 4 teams and get a bye. So that's pretty huge. Um,
That's it brings value to winning a conference championship again.
which also means there's one team that is not one of our favorites that will never be in the top 4.
I know, which is great. I mean, I love it, but I had to put them in the playoffs because they're always going to be
Yep.
in the playoffs, and we'll get to that as well. So we got 12 teams. Um, let's start with let's just go through the conference. So we already talked Big Ten champions. You think Ohio State? I think Oregon. Let's go down south to the Big 12. Who do you have winning the Big 12 conference?
The Big 12 conference winner, which I think is going to be in true Big 12 fashion, is going to be
Yeah.
wide open and going to be crazy fun. I
Mm-hmm.
think K-State, Houston, and Iowa State are going to make some noise.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Houston,
and
especially.
yeah, and don't count out Utah and Arizona.
Yeah. Yep.
Utah is, they're coming to, but to answer your question, Gundy, love the mullet.
Yep.
They're going to come in. They were 10-4 last year, 21 starters returning. their portal rank isn't that high, but their strength of schedule is 55.
All right, so they got an easier schedule,
Easier
easier to
schedule.
have.
So
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I'm going with the hype. I'm going with the rank. I'm going with the Longhorns. Hook them. Let's make them happen. I was just impressed with them last year.
wait, whoa, 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 whoa,
Whoa.
whoa. You're
What?
going to tick off our SEC fans.
Oh my God. Wait, what? Did
Oklahoma
Texas
and Texas are in the SEC.
I think I knew that at one point in time. Maybe I knew that at one point in time.
Okay, I'm
I'm
going to edit.
bamboozled. I thought
I'm
for
just
sure
going to,
I did not remember at all them switching to the SEC. Wow. Shows how
okay,
much I know about the sports
so we're going
world.
to edit that out. You jump in
Leave
and
it leave it in. I mean, that makes me angry. I don't like that at all. Texas and Oklahoma are literally like the bread and butter of the Big 12, and now they're not in the Big 12, and I hate that. Um, Jesus, now I don't even know who to pick because
let me
obviously I was like Oklahoma. Now I'm just rattled and I'm spiraling out of nowhere because everyone's switching conferences. Thanks a lot. Pac 12 had to be canceled. We don't
because
know where anyone is.
because arguably it was Texas and Oklahoma that started this domino effect of, with USC and UCLA and then Oregon and Washington. And then, hey, nothing says Atlantic Coast Conference like Cal and Stanford.
Yeah, the best. So I'm gonna have to change my picks. I don't even know because I'm looking at here and I guess
Arizona State are in the Big 12. Utah there.
I'm just gonna go with
Colorado.
Utah. Utah is gonna win the Big 12. They had a good year last year. They're gonna build off of it. Don't know much about them. I am off the rails right now. We're just gonna go with Utah winning the Big 12. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm going to change it on the seat.
Yeah, you do what you got to do about that, and then just okay. I'll change it on mine too. I'll just swap. I'll put the old Texas down there for me. Goodness gracious, Josh. It's like I had a kid or something and I just don't remember anything these days.
So we already established that you have Oregon, I have
Yep.
Ohio State. That leaves the ACC,
I know which teams are there.
and we both have a sweetheart pick there,
Oh, Clemson.
and the
What
SEC.
SEC is I think hands down it's always so tough. The SEC is disgustingly good.
Okay,
So many good
I
teams.
I jumped ahead by saying the two we had left. Let's stay with the ACC because we both agree on that.
Yeah, Clemson.
Clemson.
Clemson. Clemson will win the ACC. And I was going to say, unfortunately, we're doing this on a Sunday. We got to see some of the ACC in Dublin last night. Awesome game between Florida State and Georgia Tech. Super cool. Love the fact that WWE superstar Sheamus was the only one to pick Georgia Tech to win, and they did. Awesome. But yeah, Florida State already taken a big loss over in Dublin. Now, again, neutral site, overseas, first game of the season.
Yeah.
You're working on everything set up to be an upset at that point in time. But yeah, incredible. Florida State already took a loss. But I think Miami is going to be a sneaker in there too. I think they're going to be a really good team. Again, building off a great season last year. I think Miami is trying to get some swagger back for sure. They're going to be a force to reckon with. But I do think Clemson will walk away. They still got Dabo. He's incredible. He's bringing his own guts as always. Clemson will win the ACC, I think.
Well, I'm with you. I'm a Dabble fan. He's been getting a lot of heat because he did not participate in the portal. Um, their
Interesting.
portal ranking is 0 because they didn't have one player come in.
To me, it shouts two things. Start with the one of them is like, this is stupid, I'm not messing with all this drama. But the second thing it tells me is, we got a good enough team, we got the chemistry, like we talked about earlier in this episode, is we have the team that we want right now. We got the players groomed and everything to the positions we have. We like this team. We're not messing with any of that. We're not bringing any outsiders in. This is our community, and we're gonna rock it. And I didn't know the fact that they didn't mess with the portal, but I kind of respect it a whole lot.
Yeah. And Dabo, this will be very, very interesting to see where college football goes, because if Dabo is able to do this without bringing anyone in with his recruiting power, because he's a good recruiter, and
Yeah,
he's got some belts that a lot of teams would give anything to have. It's going to really say a lot as to the Wild West of the portal.
yeah, very true. Also, speaking of Dabo, I know I was gonna say he's only getting older in age, and I with College Game Day, I saw the hype video. Boy, am I getting nervous for him running down that hill. Am I
Oh
the
yeah.
only one thinking that? Where Dabo Sweeney, I'm like, no offense, like you look at Nick Saban, you don't think he's in his 70s, and I know Dabo looks younger, but man, that hill is scary, and he just keeps running down that sob. And goodness gracious, he's got to be in good shape because that guy keeps running down that hill. But I am nervous, probably for
Oh
every home
yeah.
Clemson game.
With two of us with weak knees, could you imagine how we'd feel after
Yeah.
that?
I'm 32 years old and I'm terrified to run down that hill. This guy's pushing probably 50, 60 years old and he's just still leading the charge. Yeah, unbelievable. Great tradition though. I do love it. That's why Clemson's always got a soft spot for me.
So we both have Clemson. We
Mm-hmm.
split Utah and Oklahoma State. We split
Oklahoma
on
State.
Oregon, Ohio State.
Yep.
And then we agreed on, and this is going to be tough, but the
Yeah.
SEC champion.
Watch out for Texas.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for Texas trying to win the SEC because they're in the conference, for those of you who didn't know that. If anyone's listening to this for the first time, they're like, this guy? It goes to show, boy, how much they're really into college football. No, it happens sometimes. But Georgia, Georgia for sure. They're just good. They're dominant. Kirby's got them rolling. I got some family that can't get me hyped up enough for the Georgia Bulldogs. They had a good season, but it's a disappointing season for them because obviously they wanted to make the playoffs and everything
Right.
like that. So they're definitely out for a little bit of vengeance to be like, nope, we're the dominant. We've won 2 of the past 3 national championships. We're still here. We're still relevant, and they're number 1 overall, pretty much in every ranking.
Yeah, I'm the only thing. So last year, 13-1, lost that last one. First in the SEC East, which is no more.
Mm-hmm.
16 starters coming back to a loaded team.
Yeah.
So they have the tools. The only thing that worries me, their strength of schedule is 9th overall, and that means their SEC schedule is pretty tough,
Well,
and
yeah.
you just can't stub your toe in the SEC. And I just think that that's going to be tough. And then you throw in, you add Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah. Good schools.
So yeah, it's I still I like them. I like them a
Yeah.
lot.
The SEC just keeps getting tougher and tougher. I'm sorry, like the Big Ten's pretty tough too. But I mean, Ole Miss is looking to have a great year. LSU is always pretty darn tough. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, like literally they just keep stacking their roster. And you look at teams like Kentucky, Kansas, and like They have good teams, but I'm sorry, you're playing a majority of freaking top 10, top 15 ranked teams almost every single week.
Yeah.
And that's got to be absolutely terrifying. But I think you made a lot of good points. Georgia on paper should continue to do well. I'm guessing there'll be a lot of close games, a lot of good games. But yeah, they're tough. I like those Georgia Bulldogs.
So let's so we have our top four
Mm-hmm.
for each of us. Should we go by number and go down, or should we go by conference and pick out the rest of the SEC and the rest of the Big Ten
Ooh,
and
yeah, I like that. I
okay,
like that.
let's
Because
let's
I was gonna say let's just start with the Big Ten because
okay.
you know each conference is gonna throw a couple teams in there for sure. You know those good teams that lose the conference championship or something, but maybe that's their only loss. So obviously I have Oregon. Definitely I have Ohio State sneaking in there as well. I'm looking through my list right now. I swear I had.
You
Geez,
only
yeah,
have two Big Ten teams.
I was gonna. Well, it was hard for me because I find it. I think it's going to be very hard to get more than two Big Ten teams. I mean, maybe Michigan sneaks in there as well. I think the SEC is going to try and dominate, and if they don't beat up on themselves and one loss teams left and right. But yeah, I had a hard time thinking the Big Ten could push a third team in there because I'll explain it. Basically, there's going to be an undefeated non-major conference team that's going to get in there. One, maybe two of them that'll go undefeated, win their conference, and there's no reason why they can't get into the playoffs. So I think that's why it's going to be harder for teams to get three teams into the playoffs. Obviously there will be, but I just didn't see it for the Big Ten this year.
I reluctantly went with the returning national champion coming
Yeah,
in.
it's hard to imagine them not being in the playoffs. They've
No.
been in the playoffs for 3
Yeah.
straight years.
And they played with, again, there were so many distractions last year and they played with so much poise. Yes, they lost. They only have 6 or 7 starters returning, but there is that winning mentality. And yeah, I
Yeah,
just think if it comes between them and another team on the bubble, Michigan's going to get in.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you make a really good point. There, the fan base, everything like that. They're going to put a good team out there. Yeah, like I said, that would be the third Big Ten team that I think would sneak in there. But yeah, that is where I guess differ from you. And that I was going to say I'm going to jump right in. That one team I think is going to get in there. Bam, number 12, Cincinnati. I looked at it. The strength of schedule, and they had kind of the easier side of strength of schedule according to college football. And I think they're going to go undefeated. They're always known for a good football team. There is going to be one of those like a Florida International or Florida Atlantic, Cincinnati, or one of those teams I think is going to sneak in there. That's why my pick is Cincinnati. They're going to go undefeated, win their conference, sneak into that playoff 12 spot.
Cincinnati is in the Big 12.
Are they actually? God, get bent. I don't even know who's who anymore, Dad.
My
Is this
my
their first year in the Big 12?
well, I'll just let you know it a lot. Yeah, it's their first year,
Goodness gracious. I don't
and
know.
I'm going with, before we go back to the other 3 conferences, I'm
Yeah,
going with Boise State.
yeah.
Darian, this is for you, a former student who lives in Boise, getting married next year in
Let's go.
August.
Congrats, Marion.
And but Boise State, they tied for first in the Mountain West. I just see them. I see them being that undefeated. Either them or Tulane. Tulane had a really good team also.
My picks absolutely stink. I swear. I was like, man, Cincinnati, this is going to be a great non-big conference.
Well, you
Obviously,
have
the Big
three
12.
from the Big 12. So you're saying
Sure.
none of the other conferences will get in.
Yeah, so Cincinnati, regretting that pick, but we're going to stick with it. Obviously, then we have Utah, like I said, going to win the Big 12. And now keep on going down my list. Yeah, I don't have three for the Big 12, do I? No.
Cincinnati.
You,
No, you only have two. Yep.
I was going to say, I put Texas in there and Oklahoma, but wow. Yeah, there's no way my prediction for all 12 of these teams, because I put Texas and Oklahoma in there. We'll just skip that. You tell me what Big 12 teams are going in there, and I'll tell you how many SEC teams I have in
Okay,
the
let's the Big
playoff.
12. I've got Oklahoma State and I got Utah. I
Yeah,
just I just love their coach. How gracious. If you ever get a chance to watch an interview,
yeah.
he is one of the most humble, gracious coaches there is. And so Utah is my other Big 12.
There you go. I like it. Um, let me tell you about all my SEC teams that I have picked in the playoff.
Let's go to the SEC, shall we?
Let's go to SEC. Let's start with Georgia, obviously making it. Ole Miss, like I talked about them, they had a good year. They're making it. The two newcomers, Oklahoma, Texas, they're going to make it. And of course, Alabama will make it. So, according to my uneducated picks here, that I am having five SEC, five SEC teams making the 12 team tournament.
Huh.
It's a good conference, and those are some good teams. Let me tell you, they're going to beat up on each other. There's no way in hell that is right at all. Out of those, I do truly believe Georgia, Texas. I think Ole Miss is kind of my sleeper in there. I would bump out Oklahoma for sure. And maybe Alabama, you never know. But I think Ole Miss is going to sneak in there. They had a really, really good season last year. They beat Alabama. They always tend to play Alabama tough. I think they're the real deal this year. So I do feel confident saying Ole Miss is going to sneak into that 12-team playoff.
Yeah, my other legacy pulled me in even without Lou. Alabama, even though they have the seventh toughest schedule, everybody wants to beat them. I'm with you on Ole Miss. Their strength of schedule is 35. They finished the season so strong, and this number just blows me away. They want to play for Lane.
Mm-hmm.
25 transfer commits.
Yeah. Yeah.
25.
Lane Kiffin pulls. That's for sure. He has changed that program
Num
around.
Number one in the portal rank. So we have no
Zero.
ranking, Clemson
Zero.
versus number one, Ole Miss. So we'll see where it falls between these two different styles.
That'll be very, very interesting. And then finishing it up with the ACC, we already talked about Clemson and of course Miami. I said I think Miami's going to be tough this year. I think they may be playing for an ACC championship, and I think they're going to get their way into the playoff this year.
Well, I'm gonna stay with mine, even though we recorded this after. I had Florida State. That they're not out of it.
Oh, by no means are they out of it.
And I just felt they've got a chip on their shoulder after what happened last year, and
For
I
sure.
went off, and I'm going to shortly go off this year. If you're undefeated and don't get in the playoffs, that's stupid.
That's bad.
Shame on you, NCAA. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
that was ridiculous for them to get hosed like that. But yeah, we had a whole episode. Look back, you'll hear all about us complain about that in last year's. But yeah,
and
I was gonna say a little chip on their shoulder. They got punched in the face.
Yep.
And sometimes that'll just spark something amazing, and you never know what can happen.
And my sweetheart sleeper is from the ACC because I only have two making the playoffs. Virginia Tech,
Mm-hmm.
22 returning starters
Yeah.
on a decent team.
Yeah. That's very, very impressive. I was gonna say that return. I like that returning starters. That's a big deal for sure.
Okay,
Um,
so we hit you
we
didn't pick
hit the
any of the other
conferences,
conferences. I got Boise State. There's an independent school.
of course. Notre Dame is going to find their way into it. I was watching Sports Center this morning, and I saw their schedule, and I think they play like three ranked teams currently. And I like they're going to lose one of those three games for sure, but they're going to be a one-loss team that's obviously going to get into the playoffs. They're probably going to get into the playoffs almost every single year because they're going to be a one-loss team. They're going to sneak in. I think it'd be silly not to choose Notre Dame getting into the playoffs.
Yep,
They almost snuck into it always with a 4 team, and now you
yep.
expand it to 12. Yeah, they're going to be in there for sure.
And we both agree on it. Because of their softer schedule, I have them the 7 seed and you have them the ninth.
Yeah, I don't think you can give them, you know, a higher seed. I think they're going to sneak into the bottom 4 for sure. But I think that's just going to be their spot almost every single year. They're just going to put them there, hands down. It's Notre Dame. They just do whatever they do, and I'm not going to keep talking about them because everything's going to be negative.
And Charlie, I apologize, but my national champion is also the Big Ten champion. This is going to be historic 2 years in a row.
Oh,
Michigan last year and this year Ohio State. Daily Daily has something to prove, and that's who I'm picking for the national champion.
I am typing it in as we speak. Bam.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
knew
go with
that
the
was
Georgia
coming.
Bulldogs. We're gonna go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Money's on them. Everyone's they're favored. They're overall number one. They got a big target on their back, being the number one. But they've been there before. They know how to do it. Long story short, go Dogs.
Yep. Am I
So there,
sharing the right screen?
yeah, I can see it.
Okay,
I
good.
didn't write anything inappropriate on there. Look at all
No,
those SEC teams.
I know. I was going to say there's a lot of SEC teams that we have, and I'm just curious how this plays out. But this is where our our predictions go.
Yeah, I
We're
we like them, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we save these and we'll come back at the end of the year. I'm probably gonna laugh just as hard as I did tonight about all my teams, which means I'm probably gonna get all the however many SEC teams get in there. I probably got them covered. So
Yeah.
looking at the 12 seeds, I'm guaranteed probably to get at least 3 correct because I picked almost half of a conference to get into the playoffs. But we'll see what happens.
And you can't rule out, I mean, the SEC has had a soft spot with the selection committee for years and years. There's it would not surprise me that 4 get in. 5, I don't know, but 4,
Their schedule would have to miss each other perfectly, where maybe they play each other once and that's it. Um, yeah, I would not be surprised if 4 sneak in there, like a Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama type of deal. Like those teams right there for sure. But the regular season, like I said, the SEC is going to collide with the SEC all conference long. It is going to be a bloodbath for them. Big Ten with the new schools of Oregon, USC, Washington playing Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, like those are going to be some colliding titans for sure. There's definitely, I think it's going to be very rare. We might see only one or two undefeated teams
Yeah.
in the power conferences. I truly believe that, just because I think with these great teams from the Pac-12 sprinkling into other conferences, the conferences are just getting better, and they're going to
Yeah.
play each other in the regular season before the playoffs. So I think the undefeated season is going to be even harder to come by. And cool, make it that much more impressive. But there's going to be, I guarantee there's going to be a 3-loss team maybe that'll sneak into the playoffs. Maybe it's going to be from the SEC. That'll be that number 5th.
Yeah. The
That'll be,
SEC.
that'll be the fifth SEC team with 3 losses. But their 3 losses are going to be to, number 1, 2, and 3 in the SEC. So it'll be fine.
There's no doubt about it. It's exciting. And you know what type of year it is?
Oh, it's a great year.
You got to love college football.
Amen to that. Well, on that note, that wraps up our predictions. Take them as you will. I'm sure my college knowledge will continue to grow, or not. If it ever fails, I will blame Harrison upstairs,
Yeah.
saying I'm a new dad and I have a newborn. So that's my excuse, and no one can take it away from me.
I think it's more so what happened yesterday to you that threw you off.
Oh yeah, I did hit my head attempting to pull a laundry line post out of the ground, and I didn't get it out of the ground. There's still probably a 12 by 12 by at least 18 inches deep concrete block in my yard, but I snapped the pole right off of it, and it hit me right here. Yep, still feel it. So there might be a little pre-CTE, little concussion symptoms. So I can blame that too. Thank you, Dad. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
there you go. Otherwise, he's a lot sharper.
Super sharp. The hair's still here, which is good. It was growing last year. It's here to stay. But yeah, Sports Dolls season 5 off and running. Here we are.
And before we sign off, we are getting back together in a couple days for the week 1 picks. 18 Big Ten games. So we have a lot to rattle off. Sibling rivalry. Everybody's playing a non-conference game.
It's gonna be exciting. I was gonna say we'll see y'all in a couple of days. And on that note, let's bring it in, and great start to the season, Dad. As
You
always,
got
Sports Dolls on 3. 1, 2, 3. Sports
Sports
Dolls.
Doll. Oh, I had the virtual on. I blew it.
Oh no. We're hoping for some fireworks.
Oh, let's see if that does it.
There it is. There's the fireworks. Ooh.
Okay. Well, that was good. We learned about the conferences again.
Yeah, welcome. Just in case you're a first time listener, conferences have changed. So you're welcome.
Oh, okay, Josh. I'm going to end it.